Sure, and I think this is something that comes with age. So I like to play guitar, for example, but given my life and all the things that I have going on in my life, sometimes there's prolonged periods that go by where I don't even have the opportunity to play guitar. But I recognize that life isn't static. Life is always changing, and there's different opportunities, different variables that impact your life. And so you have to recognize that just the way things are today might not necessarily be the way things are tomorrow. That's a bit of a backdrop. Now, in terms of your goals and having shorter-term goals and longer-term goals, a good example is I always wanted to do my doctorate. And I didn't know how I was going to get there, but that was one of my longer-term goals. Back when I was 40 and I wanted to do my Master's of Education, I was actually going to do that as a satisfaction of my desire to get my doctorate, but it ended up being a stimulatory cause to propel me towards doing my doctorate, because the things that I learned there, I realized that there was more that I wanted to understand, and it gave me a construct with which I could do to pursue those endeavors. And even after my doctorate, I still want to do a bachelor's of guitar. So I have these things that I want to achieve in my life, but I recognize that there's also shorter-term goals. So for example, at BMO Capital Markets, we're starting up a diversity and inclusion council. So I have goals in there, and I have short-term goals about just getting the council set up, and then I have longer-term goals in terms of what I want the council to achieve. And so, and it's harder when you're in your early 20s, even in your early 30s, because you're, and this is from a developmental psychology perspective, but your experience with life is finite in terms of the number of years that you've been around. Your experiential factor is finite as well. As you garner more experiences, you realize that you can have a longer-term view to things, and it's actually better to have a longer-term view to things, because you want to have these longer-term goals as kind of signposts along the way that you want to achieve to make sure that your life is traveling in the trajectory that you want it to do. There's this thing out there, the midlife crisis and so forth, and it's I guess underpinned by people who wake up at a certain age and realize, oh, I didn't achieve this, I didn't achieve that. One of the ways to help alleviate having remorse later on in your life is to have a decent enough plan as to where you want to go, the ultimate things, and how you're going to get there to achieve them. Not saying that your life has to be so structured and planned, because you have to incorporate room in there for the unplanned things that happen in your life. There was a political philosopher, back, I think it was the 14th century, by the name of Niccolo Machiavelli, and he wrote a book called The Prince. And in this book, he talked about these two notions of virtue and fortuna. And in Italy at the time, Fortuna was the goddess of luck, good fortune. And virtue was about the skill set that you developed. And his philosophical construct was that people with strong virtue, so people who thought things through and reasoned, oriented their life so that they would have a better opportunity for fortuna to shine on them. And what that means is that you put yourself in situations where you have a better chance of winning rather than losing. And that's not to say that you shouldn't take on challenges in your life, but you can construct them in a way that you will improve the odds in your favor, because life is full of a considerable amount of random events, things that you just can't control. So you want to put yourself in a position where those random events won't have as much of a potentially negative impact. So, for example, you wouldn't want to go for a picnic in the winter. You want to go for a picnic in the summer when the weather's warmer.